Mufasa the Lion King is the death of Western culture.
I genuinely cannot fathom how a few months after the brilliant prequel story, Transformers 1, somehow we got something that does everything it can to curb-stomp the life out of The Lion King, probably one of the most formative films for millions of people around the world. It might seem like a bit of a bold claim to say it's the death of Western culture, but I actually believe it is. America is the biggest cultural exporter in the modern day. Not to say that other countries don't contribute, since our culture comes from around the world, but the reality is that popular culture is the longest lasting culture. I was in Mexico years ago and I heard some guys talking about Spider-Man No Way Home, discussing their theories for the future of the MCU. I don't speak Spanish, but I was able to understand enough of what they were saying. I know people in East Asia, Oceania, Africa, South America, and all over the world who consume some element of American culture. The truth is, Shakespeare didn't have a lasting cultural impact just because he wrote great stories, but because he brought affordable entertainment to the masses. So forgive me for being a bit pissed off that a mainstream blockbuster, the type of content that has the biggest impact on our cultural expectations on the broader landscape of media, happens to be a self-cannibalizing cesspool of asinine garbage. In The Lion King, we're given a stupidly simple yet effective story. The evil brother of the king manages to kill the king and nearly kills his nephew, the prince. The prince grows up and returns to reclaim the throne and save the kingdom. Simple, easy to remember. The villain, Scar, is implied to hate Mufasa for being the bigger and cooler brother, jealous of the life he lives. Obviously, being a king is a responsibility, something Scar doesn't recognize, which Simba doesn't recognize at first as well, which is the first step of his arc to becoming responsible. And of course, the 2019 remake takes that framework and does absolutely nothing with it. Doesn't expand on the characterization, doesn't take the plot a slightly different direction. Instead, just doing things shot for shot. It's a ridiculously lazy tech demo, but hey, at least the prequel to that film had the potential to add something of worth. Scar got cucked, and that's why he's evil. Yup. Sarabi and Mufasa falling in love after the course of a few days was enough for Taka, Scar's original name before he became Scar, to try and get Mufasa killed. It's funny how some people think Megatron's fall in Transformers 1 was abrupt when it's built up over the course of the entire movie, but for most of the second act of Mufasa, the titular character and his eventual mortal enemy barely have any interactions. Gotta have a bunch of big action sequences to focus on Mufasa and not the character that this film is trying to establish he has an epic falling out with. And let's not make any mistake with this, Taka tries to get Mufasa killed. Mufasa is blatantly aware of this. He knows Taka is a mentally unstable lion who logically shouldn't ever be trusted ever again. Zazu even says that Mufasa should banish Taka for his betrayal, but Mufasa instead lets him stay in the Pride Lands. Hold on. The entire plot of The Lion King is able to happen because Mufasa seemingly sees Scar as a minor inconvenience and a bit rude. Scar is presented as mildly irritating and getting into petty spats with Mufasa over pretty small things, while Scar secretly resents Mufasa out of pure jealousy for his status as king. This film walks a very precarious line that most prequels don't really have to worry all too much about. This is a film that's supposed to be a prequel to a one-sided hatred in a relationship, Scar hating Mufasa. The reality is that by trying to add more to this one-sided animosity, they run the risk of breaking all logic. Mufasa knows his brother is psychotic, and as such, shouldn't let his newborn son anywhere near him. And as such, Scar's plan can't be put into effect. And as such, the character arcs and themes of the original Lion King cannot happen, all because they made this one small change. They tried to make Scar a cuck, and caused the entire foundation of the series to fall to pieces. We can take this a few steps further. The implication in the original film is that Mufasa was a wise king, but he has no reason to assume Scar is evil. As I already stated, the film establishes that Mufasa knows Scar is a serious threat to his own life due to his mental instability. So congrats, Mufasa is a fucking idiot. In the Mufasa movie. Total side note, remember how brilliant the character designs were in the original Lion King? Well, of course, the 2019 film shat all over the great designs by trying to make it photoreal, but this one takes it a step further by outright making the characters look identical. Mufasa and Taka look exactly the same, the only differentiating factor being their voices, and that's not really a good thing. One of the major points of character design is to make your characters stand out and have visual representations of the roles they fulfill in the narrative. So why the fuck did they design every character to be identical? When they revealed Mufasa's mother survived at the end of the film, I thought it was Sarabi. So any intended emotional reveal was completely lost because I genuinely could not tell who it was, which isn't helped by the fact that they have no character. I ask you, genuinely, what the fuck was Sarabi's personality? What traits does she have? What about Mufasa himself? You know, the title character? Sure, he's nice, but like, that's it? He's just nice? Like a stand-up guy who faces no internal struggle. There's no character arc here. He's just a good guy at the beginning and he's a good guy at the end. You could make the argument that his arc was overcoming his traumatic fear of water, but like the writer seemed to forget that they had a full scene after the scene where his trauma first developed, where he was perfectly fine while floating in the water. So I don't really buy that being in a body of water is such a debilitating experience when it's openly showed that it's not a big deal for him. Also, aside from Scar's motivations being reduced to pathetic simpery instead of a lifetime of playing second fiddle to a superior leader, Scar's characterization is entirely flipped in a direction that's at odds with the Lion King's basic premise. Scar hates Mufasa. He hates him. He wants him dead. He's a sadistic and self-absorbed narcissist. But here, he's someone who's remorseful for betraying his brother. He openly regrets bringing harm to his best friend, but somehow, over the course of however many years between this and the original story, Scar randomly leaped from being deeply remorseful to completely self-absorbed. Now, I won't say that this is an impossible development, but this is a prequel that didn't do its job of exploring that part of his character. This would be like getting the first two Star Wars prequels without Revenge of the Sith to show how the characters ended up in the starting positions from the original stories. So now Mufasa is a plank of wood who is too stupid to banish an obvious threat to his life. Sarabi is a non-character. Scar is a completely different character. And only Rafiki and Zazu are left undamaged given how little there is to fuck up. But no, instead of bothering to characterize anybody, they'd rather play the member berries game. Member Rafiki? Member his stick? Member his fucking tree? Member pride? Fucking rock? We got an origin story for a fucking rock. It's a rock. Nobody asked why this rock existed. It's just a fucking rock. Disney, you unholy bastards. You absolute fucking vultures. Picking at the rotting corpse of your once great empire like it's a goddamn buffet of dead dreams and low-effort sequels. What in the actual fuck made you think Mufasa was a good idea? Did some suit in a boardroom snort an ungodly amount of coke, slam their fist on the table and scream, "You know what the world needs? An artistically devoid prequel about Mufasa's backstory that no one fucking asked for?" Because that's the only explanation I can fathom for this absolute dumpster fire of an idea. You took one of the greatest villains of all time, a scheming Shakespearean bastard with the voice of Jeremy fucking Irons, and decided to retcon his motivations into what? A lion getting cucked? Scar isn't evil because he's power-hungry, cunning, or hell, just plain fucking evil. No, you reduced him to a jilted lover. A sad little simp who turned to the dark side because Sarabi didn't want to ride his scraggly ass to the prom. Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, this is the same company that had the balls to animate Scar singing "Be Prepared" with Nazi imagery. And now we're supposed to believe that he's the poster child for incel lions? Go fuck yourselves. Once upon a time, Disney gave us films with heart, with soul, with fucking artistry. The Lion King was handled in the savannah for Christ's sake. Now it's, well, what if we explain every goddamn detail about Mufasa's life because we can't trust the audience to just enjoy the mystery? No one, and I mean no one, watched The Lion King and thought, but where did Mufasa come from? I need his origin story, preferably drenched in soulless CGI devoid of any original ideas. These pandering prick producers pummel previously perfect productions, pumping pointless putrid prequels purely for profit. Pathetic, puerile, putrid, plundering pop culture's prestige, prioritizing plastic presentations, perpetuating piss-poor projects. Pox on you, Disney. Piss off with your pretentious profit-driven pablum. Don't even get me started on the animation. Oh, I'm sorry, the live action. It's the same fucking Uncanny Valley CGI that sucked the soul out of the Lion King remake. Remember when animation was vibrant, colorful, and full of fucking life? Now it's all beige. Beige lions on beige savannas, with beige clouds and beige fucking storytelling. It's like watching a goddamn tech demo for a new graphics engine, not a movie. This is the death of Western culture, folks. We're living in the fucking end times for creativity, where billion-dollar corporations shovel out bottom-tier garbage, slap a nostalgic name on it, and expect us to clap like trained seals. Well, not me. Fuck this movie, fuck the people who greenlit this, fuck anyone who thinks it's a good idea to turn masterpieces into a mediocre money pit. Disney, I'm begging you, stop desecrating your classics. Stop trying to explain the fucking unexplainable. Mufasa didn't need a backstory. He was a badass king lion with a deep voice and a tragic death. That's all we needed. To sum up, Mufasa the Lion King can fuck right off into the burning trash heap of cinematic failures where it belongs. If I see one more fucking cash grab remake or prequel, I might just lose my goddamn mind. So congratulations, Disney, you've done it again. You made me hate something I used to love.